Hey everybody, what is going on? It is your boy Izlo33 welcoming you to basically the last before we hit the semis and finals. We've got the upper bracket final, JDG versus T1 in an absolute bloodbath of a series. 5 full games of just downright action. It's very bloody. It's a series we're going to be breaking down game by game. And honestly, I think we need to start from the beginning. Game 1. And this series is kind of a testament to how these two teams, or Korean and LPL teams, have drafted at this tournament. Because it isn't the same sort of preferences that we see. So, Game 1, we're going to load up into said game. Wherever it is, it's here. We're going in very, very high, hard, and mad. And we're just going to skip to the start of the draft. And the importance of this is, here we go. Here is where draft gets rounded out. And important to note, JDG are on blue side. Don't know who got side select for this series, but here are the finished drafts. Lucian, Rakan, Sion, JDG ban out first rotation, whereas it's Maokai, it's Vi, and Ari banned out by T1. This leaves open some big flexes, and the two biggest flexes are the immediate lock-ins for these two teams. As you've got a Annie straightaway lock-in first round for JDG, but T1 get like a 3-position flex with their second 2 rotational picks. As you got the Cassante that can rotate between top and mid, or the Nautilus which can go between mid and bot. And the thing is, the fact that they locked us in, they know they're going into possibly an Annie mid, which probably is the most prevalent position we've seen at this tournament. It's been less of a support pick, and especially JDG are more likely to play the Annie mid with Knight, as I think that they would love and prefer to keep missing on something that can keep Knight in a better position. Now, the rest of the rotation here for first round sees Wukong and Jinx. I mean, JDG lock in their mid laner, lock in their support jungler, and their bot laner, all in the first rotation. Pretty standard in terms of those picks, because, I mean, thinking of junglers that compare well with an Annie is a very small list, and you think of AD junglers that would be good in this moment. You've got Viego, whom I dare say we could have seen picked up here for JDG, but it isn't. And we also see that Gnave, I mean, he probably wouldn't play that. He obviously wants to set up his Jinx, because, let's be honest, Ruler has been a monster in this tournament. I'm a bit surprised he went Jinx over Aphelios, considering how powerful he's been on that pick. But it is instead T1 picking up in their last rotation for first picks is the Aphelios. Lock in the strong bot laner, who does a lot of damage, let's be honest, and pair that with their second rotational support. Now, bans for the second phase, it's a lot of top. We're seeing carries, we're seeing certain picks just left open. Like, I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, actually. I was thinking maybe we see a Renekton ban, because 369 kind of defaults to that going into a Cassante. It's just one of them picks that I could see him playing, or a Sion, or an Ornn. But it's Gwen and Malphite. I mean, you remove two pretty AP prevalent damage dealers that could come through as options, so I guess that's why you remove them. As for JDG, you remove the Lulu, something that we've kind of seen. And this is weird because we talked about it yesterday in the C9 series, where C9 in the last game and other teams removed the Lulu, and it kind of made Aphelios not a champion people wanted to play. So here, the fact that Aphelios has been locked in, no support, Lulu getting removed here intrigues me. As, does that mean Aphelios loses all that power that people have seen him to have? Or does it mean that, essentially, what's going to happen is my computer desk is going to break right next to me, which I hate. Ugh. But no, it's going to be the second rotation of the Thresh. A support I think's more synonymous with Aphelios as a pairing. But yeah, that gets, I guess, hard countered by JDG before it gets locked in. Because Brom's really good into Thresh. You stick the Unbreakable up, Thresh becomes very negated because he puts himself in a vulnerable position and you can easily Q him. It's a very common counter, I would say, into Thresh's Brom. So, with that said, let's have a look at the goal graph. I mean, this game has its ups, has its downs. Only 1,000 gold in the well, JDG were, but you get to 15 minutes onwards, it's their game, and I'm presuming 26 minutes, 25 minutes is Ocean Soul. So yeah, they get to Ocean Soul, and yeah, I presume T1 tried to fight Ocean Soul. We'll just have a look. Yeah, 23 minutes is a bit of a jump for presumably Ruler. But we'll look here at the fight 25 minutes into the game that ends up being Soul. So that's 20. We'll add another 5. Boom. I've gone way too far. Good job, me. Okay, so here's 23. We should be going straight into live. Here we go. Free. I like that hoodie. Anyway, into live we go. Ocean Soul in half a minute. I dare say. So T1 right now are trying to just clear out some of the vision, set themselves up, area control. Kindred has got 4 marks, which is a bonus. Thresh has used his hook, so he's a bit of an easy target for Knight. He just bursted. Jinx is going to get excited off that. TP comes through. It's a 4v5. JDG just out teamfighting here. So Faker gets tagged by 1Q, and he's stunned up here. He does land the buffering Q onto the wall, but he gets close. That's kind of a weird one. So I'm just watching Ona's pathing. Ona's trying to get away. And it's Flash E onto, I would have thought, Faker, but it's onto Ona. Knocks him up with the Cyclone. Gets the second cast. Faker's dead in this point. Second Cyclone now is on top of Gumyushi, who has red-white gun. Top side of fight. 365 has caught Zeus, I guess. So that's a split where Gragas will win that. Now, no protection for basically the only damage dealers for T1 here. And this is a thing about these T1 comps that have been drafted every single series so far. It has really been a Gumyushi has to pop off in order for T1 to win. And so when this happens, Yeah. So yikes. That was almost a ace for JDG, but owner gets away with his life. They're gonna now run that over to Baron with Soul. They're very unkillable at this point in the game. So yeah. I mean, the kill score from that fight, you get +4. So it was quite close. It was 8-5. 8-3. Never mind, I can't read. Maybe it wasn't that close. Maybe it's just been a slow, controlled tempo game where there's only one team fight. How many team fights are there? That's one. That would have been another, but it's a small one. A small, like, triple pick. There's not really any fighting before this. There may be 1 or 2 team fights this entire game. And then it just becomes a bloodbath push. Yeah. It just seems like JDG picked one fight and won it. And that's how they won the game. And there's a reason I'm saying it in that wording, shall we put it, because these next 2 games from T1 are basically 1 team fight, 1 win. It's how they've been. 24 minutes is exceptionally quick. And this is an up and down sort of game till, yeah. When I say 1 team fight basically wins this game, there you go. Looking at the drafts, it's, again, not that much in terms of AP from T1. Heavily indexed to AD. So, JDG get a Casio, mass amounts of AP. Jinx, mass amounts of AD. A frontline, and an enchanter. I like JDG's comp, all things considered. It seems very strong. I'm not a big fan of T1's, but it is still a comp. T1 also are playing without a heal. I should point that out. It's all aggression. So, them damage chart. I'm surprised an Ornn is second most damage in the game. That doesn't seem right. Anyway, we'll find the team fight without even using the timeline. We're going to 23 minutes into the game. Oh, I missed it. Here we go. 19 minutes, so we'll add another 2. That's a minute. That's a minute. There we go. So here, what is there that's going to happen? I mean, there's Drake spawning in 50 seconds. That's the big thing I notice. Faker going to push in top. He has TP. Honestly, either he resets now with the gold he's just got, which it appears he is doing. Probably, I mean, he's already on 2 items. I don't know his current gold in inventory, but he's probably not going to be able to buy like an IE at this moment in time. Now, Faker's probably going to TP to mid-tier 1. Because it's still standing. Never mind. He isn't. He's just going to walk it up. Fair enough. So this is... So, essentially, I get what's happening. JDG have seen that T1 have backed up, probably on resets for Drake, because 40 seconds, 30-40 seconds before Drake spawns is usually the reset time. You go back to base, you, in terms of support, you get your wards restocked, you buy control wards in some other characters' place, you buy everything you can before an incoming fight. It's why we see Sion right now back at base buying Jack Shao, knowing full well he can get back to a fight with TP. Now, JDG is sensing T1 art here, so maybe they use this opportunity to force a play mid, force the wave down the lane, and essentially say to T1, you lose priority in this river because you have to clear this mid wave. But in actuality, that there from the Maokai, from Owner, should be a big enough giveaway to JDG. They can't step up. Because if Maokai has this flank, the Nature's Grasp is always going to come through. And he can step up pretty close to you because they're still stepping forward into the turret. TP comes through on a ward that JDG know is there. They haven't cleared it out for some reason, even though they've got 2 sweepers. It seems like JDG are kind of cutting corners in a desperate attempt to make a play, even though the gold is relatively close. And I'd say with a Casio, they scale slightly better, even though Ornn will have ornaments. Now, continuing on from this point, the Ornn Horn comes through. Shirelia's from both teams at pop, so they're going to be splitting, so Ornn can only hit realistically 1 member. Knight flashes into it, but it's immediately on Ruler. That's the most obvious target. He gets Wild Growth and is forced to cleanse, but the damage has been done already by T1. It's just the fact that Zeus gets such a mass amount of damage. That is just the Ornn Horn doing that damage. It's insane. The Nature's Grass comes through as well. So it's just a wombo combo of stuns and CC onto Ruler that takes him to about a 3rd HP. He's now, at this point, thinking, okay, Ornn can't get on me anymore. And JDG can look to turn to fight T1. But Xayah is still untouched, and she's stepping forward here. Just going to fire in shots. Flashes are going to be burnt. Let's be honest. Knight wasted his, in my opinion. But now T1 jump on Sion. He can't tank anymore. Faker Blast jumps forward, which in some regards is a bit of a bait, because it trades frontline for damage dealer who had a shutdown on him. Now you're still thinking, or if you're JDG, you're thinking, hey, we can fight this. That's the big carry down. That's the threat gone. But knock up onto 2. Owner's rooting down Ruler. Boop. Back into the fight. Ruler still has flash. Unable to press it because he gets locked up in the charm. Guma's just slicing through everyone's health bar. That's the Quadra. And stolen. He stole the goddamn Penta. And just like that, you think about where they are. They didn't go towards the Drake. They just stay in mid. Death timers, realistically speaking, how long are they? I can't see it. So the first kill, 48 seconds. It's 40 seconds on Ruler. How long am I missing? 34. So you think about it. Longest death timer is 47 seconds. In this situation, I've known teams go just trade it for Baron, get the Drake, and then slow push it. Not T1. They're just gonna push through mid, kill the tier 3, kill the inhibitor, and end the goddamn game. It's a one fight that shouldn't end it, that does. And this is the difference, I feel, with the LCK and LPL. Is their ability just to win? Because right now, T1 are just peeling for Guma as he kills Nexus. Tristana's here. She's also a big killer of objectives. If T1 didn't end the game there, as it went, it probably would have been a pretty bad ending for T1. They would have lost Baron, lost everything. But yeah, instead, they win the game off just one fight. And in the next game, game 3, the end of the game, what Atlas says is literally, it's just a one and done. Like, T1 are just like one and done. And it's coming off something that we have to basically analyze very in depth for game 3. It's how T1 are setting up for objectives. This game quicker than game number 2. We're going straight to the end for game number 3. We'll touch on the comps a little bit. Here is where the draft gets locked in. So, ban-wise, relatively the same. Wukong, though, is on the ban list. Sion's on the ban list. They've switched sides yet again. Annie, Cassante flex yet again. Felios, Lulu gets locked in. Then Jinx, then Nor on the other side. The rotation, then a second band. They're the same, nearly, minus Blitzes in there. Then it's Kha'Zix jungle. That's a bit of a switch up from what we're used to. Xin gets locked in. You've also got Ornn and Gwen on top of it. Essentially T1 once again want to get on top of you, but this time have more agency in terms of AP. It's not that flex from game 1 of the Cassante Nort that had very, like, it was very open. This game, they don't have the option to put Cassante in top because Gwen comes through and is obviously exceptionally, and I do mean this, exceptionally high in terms of AP damage. So this last fight, we're going straight to it, I believe. Here we go. JDG once again pushing through mid, but T1 gonna come for it. Drake spawning in 15 seconds. Just look how T1 are spread. Owner here, you got Zeus here. If you know when, before I've talked about the pincer maneuver, where you got one hook coming through there, the other through here, and the claws just squeeze on you and tighten around you as you get crushed by the center. That's essentially how this is set up, but it's a little bit more so spread out. It's like a massive jaw right now. It's slowly closing as it has become less of that positioning. But what's important to note here is the vision that T1 have just garnered for themselves in a matter of seconds. Just watch carrier. Control ward there is the perfect place to have a control ward, because any T1 member, say the mid lane or the Kha'Zix, can just basically fire in a ability. Kha'Zix can jump the wall and burst someone out, and carrier can go over that wall with his Hex Flash. Notice it's a triple position of vision cone set up. There's a flank ward as well, technically. But T1 have just put down 3 wards of importance. The ward that stops the vision, another one to control a brush, and 2 to control brushes, basically. So at this point, watch Carrier. He gets in a flank position as JDG are backing up. Now, at this point, there's no vision into this canal or this choke. And essentially, Carrier just walks behind. He's using the vision control that's been set up for him, knowing full well he hasn't been seen. Now, he's just going to sit here and wait. And JDG should be suspicious that Carrier is missing. But watch as the little Nautilus, the ward has been spotted. They know that there's a vision ward there, but he smartly backs up, so he's still not spotted. Hex Flash is coming through. Look at these 3. Open targets. You can know where the rest of JDG are. It's T1 using their vision superbly. And 3, 2, 1, over the wall he goes. Hook lands onto Ruler. Now, it isn't the top tier hook, let's be honest. You want to hit Ruler with your hook, but this is second best. And the other important thing is, look at the Glacial Augment. The pathway goes straight onto Ruler, straight onto Missing. Owner on the side here has a very easy path onto them because they can't really escape from this. No summoners. Carrier has done a good job. Depth charge is used. Boom. All 3 knocked into the air. I am kind of ignoring this top half of the fight because it's frontline of a Xin and an Ornn trying to stop Gumayusi, Faker, and Zeus from getting through. But essentially, Faker just is buying time with this line. He's used his W to push these 2 back. And in actuality, the fight is very split. Carrier has bought time by keeping the JDG backline busy, who are now trying to turn on Owner. But this flash from Faker gets him on top of the carries. He's now in the face of Knight, whom just gets sliced down. Top half of the fight, Gumayusi is just dealing with the Xin in a very close fashion. And yeah, he's now excited, so 369 is going to die. Ruler in this point, he's like, I need to try and get on top of Guma. I just want to see what happens in Moonlight Vigil. He is as well. I thought that was what would happen. So I saw how low Gumayusi and Zeus got. So what Ruler's trying to do is, he's trying to reposition. He's trying to get in a place where he can fire the ult in at these 2 and get mass amounts of damage and probably get a double. So he dashes through, but Owner matches it really. He gets in front of the ultimate, he tanks it up, and while he takes mass amounts of damage, everyone on JDG dies, and none of T1 do. That was well played by Owner as a whole, and Carrier to kind of just body block spells from the JDG backline. But this results in walking straight through mid, yet again, to the Nexus turrets. This game, it shouldn't be over. Faker dies in a sacrificial effort to just get the Nexus. It's just clean T1 one punch fighting yet again. The goal graph says it all. Like, it's clean. Game 4 is where my knowledge of this series gets a bit muddy. It's a longer game in comparison to game number 1. And a longer game looks to be more controlled. This is like the NG C9 goal graph, just dominant in one way. And there's no real fight back. I mean, that's an important stat to note. The Kindred dying 5 times. Considering she gets Lamb's Respite, that's surprising. Also, bit of a weird build, personally. Anywho, let's get into a fight. I think that's the best way to understand this game. I mean, turret plating going over. There was a Herald fight, it seems. And not many other kills. How many kills were in this game? It's quite low, all things considered. Let's look at this Herald fight 17 minutes into the game, because it is a controlled game. It's kind of obvious it's controlled due to how the goal goes. So 17 minutes into the game is where we're going to be looking. And I'm really, in my mind, thinking that we need to pay attention to how these two teams play for objectives. So that's Faker going aggressive. He hasn't used the depth charge, which means he's probably just going to back up. See what spells he can get out of that. I'm noticing Ruler has no sums, similarly to most of JDG, but ultimates are up across the board. So, my mind's saying Zeus looks for a wonder unstoppable force with Faker going in on top of it, but the damage output that T1 can put out is just not enough as they get re-engaged on by a Wukong and a Gragas. That's just my thoughts on how this play goes, or is kind of happens. If I'm wrong, then I'm jumping to very big conclusions. So we're at 18 minutes into the game. Oh, that may be a bit of a difference in how I see things. If it's a flank play, so Harold's going to get started. That's a no-brainer. JDG won that. T1 are going to try to reclaim vision around this objective. See that it's started now. Faker gets stand in there. But 369's still not spotted. In fact, a lot of what JDG are doing is trying to play around the fog of war. Zeus is now in the pit. And here's where the flank begins. Oh, it's not going to be the Malphite, it's going to be a cask. Just watch. Body slam. He's unstoppable now. Because he just gets gobbled up. The cask was used there. So, how does Ona die? I'm not really paying attention to that. I'm trying to see how the cask gets used here. So, smited, it's just a cyclone. Lamb's Respite gets popped on top of it. Ona gets... So that's well timed by Knavi. He waits out the Lamb's Respite before using the second half of the cyclone. Meaning, Ona can't really outplay the health buff. So, inevitably, he just gets bursted out. TK gets split from Jinx. No real way to engage on TK at this point. As it's just rest of T1 firing back. I mean, Gumayushi gets a flash, but it's just Ruler cleaning up the T1 members who just can't get out. It feels like a one-way trip. Faker, when did he leave the fight? Because... So... I'm just watching Faker. He just walks away. Yeah, that fight seemed pretty one-sided because it was so split up. 369 did a good job getting on the backline and locking down one target that he needed to. It was just well played, all things considered. You got the sums out to Jinx, making her vulnerable, and you got the objective that you wanted. 1 kill for Herald and 3 kills. That's worth it for JDG, because that'll continue to make the snowball happen. Anyway, last game of the series. 5 full games of these two teams battling it out. It must have been juicy. Let's look at this. I immediately see that and that. Nautilus may have been an issue. No Cassante. It gets banned out. We don't actually see a soul in this game, I don't know. I don't think we do. If we did, then it clearly wasn't that impactful. Anyway, looking at everything, that's a very threatening Gumayushi. But that's... oh my days. I didn't even see the Jinx yet. That's an even more threatening ruler. I'm pretty sure if we look at the gold graph, considering what... that's a one fight and done. It has to be a one and done fight by JDG this time. I mean, ruler's pretty fed. What? Yeah, I need to go to the 31-minute mark, don't I? He only gets 2 kills, but he gets so many turrets put into him. It's just turrets fed into him from 30 minutes. Ruler just pops off. We need to look at 20... we need to go to the 30-minute mark. Cloud Soul. Or Cloud Drake. I think this was a very good series. I'm sad I haven't watched it, like, in its full potential. I'm very sad about that now. So we're going to go to the 30... here'll do. So, presumably a fight's just happened. JDG clearing out the waves. T1, well, Owner and 369 are dead. Baron's up in a minute 30. This is just the previous fight. It's probably just going to be a pick onto 365. 9. Yeah, he uses a cask, so... Tor aggro hits onto Faker. He gets re-engaged on by Knight. Just CC combo, but... yeah, on the other side, it's just Maokai getting caught and blasted back into the entirety of JDG. Gwen just cleans him up with Knight. Yeah, that's just a standard fight, all things considered. It was close, but JDG looked to be firing back a bit more. In that one, it looked closer than it needed to be, because gold difference means nothing in a game like this. So... Cloud Soul is the next play. T1, honestly, thinking at this point, do we need to fight Cloud Soul? It's not the best soul in the game. It's probably the worst. But they're going to contest. I mean, I'm now thinking about this in terms of how T1 have played against other teams in this tournament and not respected Cloud Soul. I think if this was game 1 or 2, they would have ignored this and pushed up mid and top and looked to win the game. But instead, they're going to fight it. Nature's Grasp gets used early. It hits no one of importance. T1 secure the objective, but look at the flank. Missing's here. He's going to press the charm. the quickness, if you want to give it its actual name. Owner's just getting sliced up, but he just killed really quick. He had to overextend to secure the Drake. Like, he's here, he's stepping forward, he gets on the Drake, he's the furthest one back, he gets locked up by Surge, just chunked through quite heavily, roots himself on the Silas so that he can allow Zeus out and out. But yeah, T1 get picked off here. And Jinx is just going to fire in rockets pretty freely. JDG just backing up. Makes sense. And T1 now rotate over to the Baron. This seems like a bit of a misplay, considering you've just lost your jungler. Sedge, though, hasn't got Warmog. She's had to go back to base. I understand what T1 are doing, but yeah, it seems like a bad play, because now JDG will just turn on to the Baron. Because they can. Hook lands onto Knight, but T1 is so split, and that's because of missing there. Just gonna go back. So watch, Faker goes in, and Zeus goes with him. But look what Missing's doing. He flashes on top of Carrier and Guma, forcing them away. And so now that they're kept away, because Knight's here as well, he will burst and kill them. Knight's that strong. And so, because they're kept out, Faker dies, Zeus is going to die, Baron goes over to JDG. And that's a bit of an issue with T1's comp. If they do not kill Ruler in this situation, game's over. It's always over. JDG will win the game now from this. Ruler is just that far ahead. He's everything to JDG. And so the game is over because of over-aggression. I get that you don't want to give JDG Baron, but you give them Baron and a couple of kills that go onto the big bad Jinx. It's a bit of a misplay overall. And JDG punish and win the game from it. It's that simple. And the series ends here. JDG advance to the grand finals on Sunday. And I get, for my big treat on Saturday, a T1 series. I'm really happy for that. We've got one more series though today to talk about. It's Gen G. It's BLG. My prediction. Gen G 3-2. Simple as, to be honest. I'm not going to go too in depth other than to say Gen G, realistically speaking, looked the better of these two teams at this tournament. And BLG, I think, got lucky in some regards against G2. But that's going to be it. Thanks very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to everyone too. And I'll see you guys for when we do the breakdown on that series. Peace out.